I'm here with Laurie Mika, and I am holding the absolute cutest little shrine ever. And at first I thought this was made out of wood or something, but it's polymer clay, and Laurie is the polymer expert, so she's gonna help us out. So what are we doing?
Well, thank you very much. We are going to be making the centerpiece of that little shrine. And I find that a lot of times that's the beginning of a whole piece, is just that part. So it's really actually an important beginning.
Cool.
So we're going to start off with some black polymer clay as the basis. And I usually start with 2 packages, and I have it conditioned already, so that's good.
So conditioning it is basically like getting it warm and soft.
Yeah, you need to move all those molecules
I've heard
about
of people
through there.
sitting on their polymer clay.
Sticking it in their bra.
You know, whatever you gotta do to get it warm.
Right, and that's the worst part about working with polymer clay. The rest of it's a lot of fun. So what I do is I take my conditioned polymer clay, and thank you very much. I take my wood rolling pin and I start to rock it back and forth.
Why does it need to be wood?
It doesn't need to be.
Okay.
Acrylic, there's a lot of different things. PVC pipe works great for using it as a rolling pin. So.
And I noticed that you're working on top of wax paper. I assume that's so the polymer doesn't stick?
Exactly, and it's a great surface when things get mucked up. I can just start over on a new clean piece.
And I also noticed that you're holding the rolling pin not at the ends, but actually in the middle.
Yeah, if I'm working on a larger piece, I'm holding on the ends and really kind of leaning into it. Here, I don't need to. This is a smaller piece.
Okay, and you have one, right, that's already rolled out.
And so I roll that until I get it to approximately about 1/8 of an inch thick, like this slab right here. And that is ready to go. And what we're going to start with to create this is the actual frame shape, and I'm using a rubber stamp to do that. So what I want to do is actually leave enough room. I've rolled out a slab that's large enough to accommodate 2 of these being stamped side by side. So what I'm going to do is place this down like that and kind of set it into the clay. And it's going to stick, because this is really sticky, the surface of that.
Because once it's been conditioned, it's softened and stickied up,
right.
if that can be a word.
And it is an important part of the process, the conditioning part. Helps it cure in the oven.
I think that all clay work requires some level of conditioning.
Right.
And you were just saying something important, which is curing in the oven. And if you want to do the big reveal here, we can see what that looks like.
Yes. Here is my stamped image, and it's nice and deeply etched in there, so that's great. Now, the other side of it is actually going to be used just as a template for placing my image down. So I don't need to roll over it. I can just kind of lightly push like this.
I see what you're saying, because you don't actually need the image, you just need the basic shape.
I just need the basic shape.
Very cool.
Once I have those 2 imprints on my clay, I'm going to use my rigid tissue blade here, and I'm going to cut in the center like that, and leave both of those on this. I'm not going to cut out the detail image of that frame right now. I want to leave them on the slab, and you'll see why a little bit later.
Okay.
So the next step is to actually take an image, and I have a couple to select from, and I love all these kind of Renaissance women, and that's what kind of makes my heart sing.
They're so I'm beautiful and serene.
Right, and so I'm going to take this image that is going to fit in there, and you can kind of measure with the size of a frame that you're using. And while that is setting up, we're going to cut out the frame so that we create a window. You could use a scalpel if you really wanted to get detailed and whatever, but
you're using a cookie cutter, essentially.
It's the easy way to do it.
I like easy. And the thing that's so interesting,
too.
which I think we're about to see, is as you push that down, it's obviously a square, but you want to cut out a rectangle
so
space,
I'm just
so you simply move it. Genius.
Well, you're a genius to figure that out there.
Well, I didn't figure it out until I saw you, and I was like, how is she going to make that? And I thought,
right, so
she's done this before.
There we go. We have our window cut out. Now that we have that, you can't really see the design in this until we do something, and I'm going to add this metallic wax product onto it, and what that does is it brings out the design, so you really can see what it is. I'm going to use a rag because it kind of gets really messed up on you.
So you're essentially using your finger just slightly protected.
Only with this waxy stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I can actually smell it. It has quite a strong odor to it.
Right, it does. And it's hard to get off your fingers. And especially your
So unless you want to be,
beautiful,
you know, in the Wizard of Oz or something for, you know, a holiday, then and end up all silver.
Right.
you better cover up.
And now you can see, ooh, we can see the design of it.
Very cool.
But that's really a little bit blingier than I'd like, and I'm generally working in a palette that is more, again, kind of a Renaissance-y color, so I love this color of paint that is
So you're
kind
just
of
using
this.
acrylic paint, which is going to be so cool. And I notice you're not even letting that dry.
No, that
you're just going ahead
we
wet
just
on wet.
Wet on wet, and I'm using a little bit of raw umber as well. And I'm going to use my finger as a paintbrush. So, and the reason I do that is because I can stay on top of the stamped image rather than forcing the paint down to the bottom.
Oh, that's a great tip.
Yeah, I'm gonna come over it like this, and you can
Oh, it just opposite. Because you know, at first I thought this was all gold, but now I can see that it was silver, and you added these kind of two different browns, one more transparent and kind of orangey, the other a little darker to give it that nice undertone. And on top of the black clay, it just really makes it look so antique-y. So I know we've got to sort of finish up here, but you are basically have these cool embellishments that you wouldn't think would be appropriate for something this antique-y, but you're actually going to be able to antique them essentially using the same techniques that we used on the polymer. You're going to be able to now use on the metal and the ceramic pieces that you have there.
Right, so I'm going to tone these down because they have lots of great findings that you can gather any place, but they're really new looking. So I'm just going to take this and really kind of just muck it up with my paint real quickly.
Which is super cool. And I know that once you adhere those on, and I'm gonna just talk while you're doing for a minute. So once you adhere those on, we're obviously gonna cut down the two pieces. We're gonna put the sandwich together, meaning we're gonna put this piece on top of this piece. And when you do that, it's gonna create this. Now, in order to make this hard, because this is super duper hard, what are we gonna do?
We are going to bake that in the oven. In a toaster oven.
In a toaster oven. And obviously the packaging on any polymer clay that you have will tell you exactly how long to do all that.
Exactly.
So this is super awesome. And if we look back at the finished piece that has that little shrine right in the middle, I just want to point out this awesome thing that you see right here, the stenciling on the side. And Laurie's going to be back to show us a tip about that.